Hi everyone, this is Andrew with PrestoAPI. In this tutorial, I'm going to walk through the process of connecting to a data source and creating customizable API endpoints. The first step is connecting to an existing database. In this tutorial, I'm using Microsoft Azure's SQL database. I've already created a database called Bike Stores, and all we need from here is the server address from the connection string. The first step is clicking Databases, Add New to get started. Enter a display name. The driver in this case is SQL Server, and the server address copied from before. Now enter your new credentials. After entering your credentials, click on Database Name. Presto will attempt to connect to the server. If successful, the drop-down list will populate with a list of databases from your server. Select your database. Click on Test to confirm your connection. If successful, click Submit. You can click on Settings to edit any details, or you may delete the database connection at any time. You can also click on View to see a list of tables, views, and stored procedures. Click on a table to view its columns and its data types. The next step is creating a project. Projects organize your new API endpoints. Click on Create New Project to get started. Enter a project name. Click on one or more of the established database connections. Enter a project prefix, which will be the URL prefix for all your new endpoints. The next step asks if you would like to require authorization. If enabled, all of your endpoints in this project will require an authorization header to access any data. This safely protects your endpoints from the public. In this demo, I'm going to enable authorization headers. You have created your first project. You may click on Settings to edit any of the project details at any time. Click on View. This is your project homepage. You may see all of the database connections here and your endpoints. Click on API to create your endpoints. Enter a name. This will be the URL suffix for this particular endpoint. This project only has one database connection. Select the table to connect to. You may click Preview to view the table data. You may also choose a custom query to use a join clause, for example. The unique identifier in this case is customer ID. The next step asks which methods you would like to include in this endpoint. All are selected by default. The first method is the GET request. Here you could choose which columns to get. This will limit the response to the column specified. All are selected by default. You may also select a custom query instead of using the standard select statement. You can also add query parameters. Query parameters act as variables, adding a where clause and limiting the response to the condition specified. For example, if I click State and set it equal to New York, it will only show the customers from New York. The next is the post request settings. Here you can also choose which columns to post. For each of these settings, you may also choose custom queries. The last step will ask if you would like to remove the authorization header. Let's keep the authorization header for this demo. Click Submit. You have created your first API endpoint. Click on a drop-down for a request to view an example of the response. Click on Copy to copy the URL. Let's see some of this data. Now we'll need the authorization header. If you attempt to access a protected endpoint without an authorization header, the response will return a 401 unauthorized status saying this endpoint is protected. Include the authorization header like so. This will return all the customers from this database. You may also include query parameters. For example, we'll do state is equal to New York. This will return all the customers from the state of New York. You may also choose to get a specific customer. Enter in the customer ID as a path parameter at the end. This will just get one specific customer. The next request is the post request. Click on the post request and get a sample of the body. Enter your body in the post request. If the post request is successful, it will return the object in which you have just inserted. The next request is the put request. Enter the ID in which you would like to update. Let's change some of the fields. If the update is successful, it will return the item in which you just updated. You may also add query parameters to your put request. For example, if you would like to update all the customers from the city of Miami, enter the put request like so. It will return all the objects you have just updated. In this case, all of the customers from the city of Miami. The last request is the delete request. Enter in the ID of the object you would like to delete. If the delete is successful, it will return deleted with its ID. You can delete all the customers from the city of Miami. Deleted 38 rows. You have now created your first RESTful API endpoint. You can edit the endpoint by clicking the cog here. You can turn on and off the authorization header for this endpoint. Or you can change the tables and the unique identifier. You can also edit the settings for each individual method. You can either add a custom query, or depending on the method, some extra settings. This concludes the tutorial for creating a RESTful API